the tower that
Oh, here.
really?
Now we're at the 50th at Small World,
Yeah.
weren't
How we
you?
doing?
Thank you so much.
That's me. I'm
Deb.
Deb. I'm Deb. I've been doing this almost 19 years now.
Really?
Amazing. Oh, that's beautiful. How awesome is that?
This is the whippersnapper version.
Which one?
That's me. I can change.
We actually a long time ago exchanged emails, and you allowed me to use 3 or 4 of your slides of Carousel of Progress on my website.
I thought so. Yeah, sounded familiar.
Yes.
Oh, Carousel of Progress, my favorite.
Oh, it was it was one of the big things when I ended up coming back to, when I started working for Disney. I was working over at Cape Kennedy, and we had a day off that was unplanned, and I came over here to just kill time. And I walked in, and the monorails, the Carousel of Progress was here, Small World was here, and I felt like I was 12 years old again. So it was just, fantastic time. And I ran out, bought a tie, went in, and said, "You guys would like me to work here, wouldn't you?" And the next thing I knew, I was. So it was quite a surprise. But Carousel of Progress was one of my favorites too.
Now, I know you said in your talk this morning, grew up in the area. I've gone to the World's Fair many times. Obviously, you've got a huge photograph slide collection. What was it about the fair that drove that passion in you to want to get so involved in the research?
It was the unbridled optimism, I think, that everything was good and everything was going to be even better. Like the song "The Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow," the whole fair was that way, that there were going to be all these great highways and byways and all these sort of things. But I got caught up in that, and I also like the fact, for me, the international part was a major sensation. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I didn't think I'd ever get out of Brooklyn in my life except to go to Queens for the fair. So I never thought I'd get overseas. And when I would go to places and talk, I had no budget, zero money to go to the fair. So the things that charged admission, I saw maybe once. But I spent a lot of time at the international pavilions and just talking to the people. And I remember talking to a gal in the Egyptian pavilion. And it was the last week of the fair, and she was talking about not being real happy about going back home. She liked it so much better, and they frankly treated women better here than in Egypt and that. And I still remember I was saying, "I'm so sorry, it's all going to be gone." And she kind of impulsively pulled this piece of cotton off the wall of the display and said, "Well, here, at least remember us." And I have crates of World's Fair junk at home, and I still have one special box, and that piece of cotton is still in that box. And that to me was, I never thought I'd meet people, from so many different places and be able to just chat with them. And I ended up with a job later. I traveled all around the world, but it was it was just an eye opener for a 12-year-old kid.
It was interesting. We had, you say you were born and raised in Brooklyn. We had a young lady working for us at Small World that was born and raised in Brooklyn and never been to the top of the Empire State Building. And so we backed her up, took her to the top of the Empire State Building. So, and you talk about the international thing. That was the beauty of Small World, is we had people from all over the world working there, and New York City. We had Dele Albajuke. His father was the chief of the Belgian Congo tribe, and he was the first son of the chief, and his mother was the first wife of the chief of the Belgian Congo. Alia Pascavisis, I don't know where Alia was from, but she ended up working for us here at Disneyland as a costume designer, and came down here with us when we opened. So, but we had people from everywhere, and it was neat to see them all work together and get along. That's what made the Small World what it was.
And what was your role? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I got a kick out of the Small World newsletters that they put out, the Jiminy Cricket thing, the staff, and it sounded like working there must have just been hard work and an awful lot of fun for the number of events and things they did after the hours.
It was that. I mean, they do parties on their own, and it was great. So it was just super people. That's so tremendous what we were there at Small World, and it was exciting. It was fun.
And what was your role in terms of?
I was the assistant manager of the pavilion the second year. The first year I was there I was supposed to be there for 3 weeks, and I ended up being there 6. They needed some help getting it going and all that good stuff. But we went back for the second year in '65. I got a call from Dick Nunes one day, and he says, Sully, sell your house, sell your cars, they're going to the fair. So we packed up, me, and I went out, and Mama came out about a month later, and my kids were clean for 9 months because we lived on the 21st floor of the apartment house that we were in. And so it was great. And my oldest daughter, she started kindergarten there in PS 99. So we'd never been east of the Mississippi, and it was a culture shock. Met some great people, had some great times. It was super. What else?
Well, I could keep going, but I want to give them...
Oh, go ahead. This is great.
You're the current day historian.
So, yes.
Is that an appropriate...
Actually, I think I'm the show awareness producer for Walt Disney Imagineering. But I think Bill said something really interesting here about the optimism of Walt. That's certainly one of the Disney differences. And with that optimism, he did always believe tomorrow would be a better day. So he often told stories about the future. But he did it in a very clever way. I remember I was on the opening crew of Epcot Center. And especially in Future World, for stories about tomorrow, we sure went into the past a lot. You go all the way back to cavemen at, Spaceship Earth, Universe of Energies, back to the dinosaurs, World of Motion started with cavemen again. And I was really chatting once, interviewing Disney legend Tony Baxter, and he sort of dissected Walt's story structure for me. And he said, whenever Walt would tell the story of the future, what he would do is he would take you into the past. And I think the Carousel of Progress is really the sort of quintessential packaging of that story. He starts back pre-electricity and of course includes the audience sort of in on the joke, right? The family is always talking about the next invention. Oh, it'll never last, but of course we know it. And then we go on to the next scene, and then they have all these fantastic things that are going to be coming in the future, but they're not convinced it's going to last any longer. But of course we're in on the joke. You go scene by scene so that by the time Walt is ready to present his vision of what the future could be, no matter how fantastic, no matter how unbelievable it might be. Well, he's already conditioned us to believe in the impossible. And so we completely buy in to whatever he does. He did it with the Disneyland Goes to the World's Fair. Even the television show starts with the history of the World's Fairs, and he kind of shows you what was amazing at the time, but then of course he knows he's going to come through and just blow you away with the shows.
That's
that
why
he's
we
done.
went to the World's Fair, is because
Got about one more minute.
only 6% of our business was coming east of the Mississippi. And Walt wanted to test the market because he was thinking about this place down here. And that's why we bought 28,000 acres down here to start with, is that it would give us room to build for the next 25 years. And that's what we did. And look what we've done.
The fair was so important. I mean, Becky Klein and I were talking about, if the World's Fair hadn't been, there probably wouldn't be a Disney World. Like I say, the land, it was the whole in convincing the people that the West Coast stuff would play on the East Coast, where the East Coast audience is too critical or too harsh or whatever. And then they learned so much up here as far as the weather, what they did in New York, that people are saying build a theme park up here, and if you look at what happened with Freedom Land in New York, I mean the weather just killed it.
All right.
It made a big
That's time,
difference
everyone.
moving down here.
Thank you.